The desert stretched far and wide, golden and endless under the morning sun. The wind moved softly across the sand, shaping it into smooth waves that looked like an ocean frozen in time. In the middle of this vast land stood an oasis named Mira's Well. The oasis was small but beautiful. A few tall palm trees stood close together, their green leaves moving gently. A clear pool of water lay at the center, reflecting the bright sky above. Travelers from faraway places came here to rest, drink, and cool their tired feet. On one quiet morning, a group of explorers reached Mira's Well after a long journey. At the front walked a man named Arun. His skin was darkened by the sun and his clothes were light and dusty from travel. Behind him came his friends Lyra, Nomi, and Rian, each carrying packs filled with tools, water, and maps. They were not treasure hunters but researchers who wanted to study old places hidden in deserts and mountains. Arun had heard stories about this oasis since his childhood. The stories said that strange symbols were carved on the stones around the water, symbols that no one had ever understood. When the group reached the shade of the palm trees, they dropped their bags and sat near the water. The air was warm, but the shade gave them peace. Nomi took a drink and sighed with relief. Ryan stretched out on the sand and closed his eyes. Lyra, however, walked slowly around the pool, her eyes watching the ground carefully. She had always been curious and liked to notice small things that others missed. "Arun," she called softly, "look at this." Arun stood up and walked to her side. On a flat stone near the edge of the water were faint lines like writing. They were not deep cuts but smooth patterns that joined into shapes. Some looked like circles, others like stars, and in the center was a spiral that turned inward. The lines seemed to glow slightly in the sunlight. Aaron knelt and touched the stone. It felt warm, almost alive. "These look like no script I have seen," he said. "They are too perfect. Too clean for something this old." Lyra nodded. "Maybe they are not writing," she said. "Maybe they are a message of another kind." The others came to see. Nomi took out a small camera and began to take pictures. Ryan brushed away the sand around the stone, revealing more of the pattern. Soon they found that the shapes continued in a long line toward the edge of the oasis, half hidden under the sand. The sun rose higher, and the air shimmered with heat. They worked slowly, careful not to damage anything. By noon, they had uncovered 3 large stones, each marked with similar designs. Aaron looked at them with growing excitement. He could not understand the meaning, but he felt something important about them. It was as if the desert was hiding a secret and waiting for someone to listen. After lunch, the group rested under the palm trees. The soft sound of water filled the air. Lyra sat quietly, sketching the symbols in her notebook. Nomi cleaned the camera lens and checked the photos. Ryan played with the sand, drawing lines with a small stick. The heat slowly softened and a calm silence covered the place. Aaron lay back and watched the sky. He began to wonder who had built these stones and why they had been placed here. His thoughts drifted between curiosity and peace until Lyra spoke again. "Do you hear that?" she asked. Everyone stopped and listened. At first there was nothing but the rustle of palm leaves. Then very faintly a low humming sound came from under the ground. It was soft and even, like a note from a hidden instrument. The sound came and went in a slow rhythm. Rian frowned. "Maybe it is the wind," he said. But there was no wind. The trees were still and the air was heavy. Aaron stood and walked toward the stones. He placed his ear near the surface and the sound grew clearer. It seemed to rise from deep beneath the earth, steady and gentle. He could almost feel it in his chest. "It is not wind," he said. "It is coming from below." Nomi looked uneasy. "Maybe there is a spring under the ground. Water can make strange sounds in caves." Lyra shook her head. "No, it feels different. It feels like something alive but sleeping." Aaron looked at her, then back at the stones. The patterns seemed to shine a little brighter now, as if reacting to the sound. He ran his fingers along the spiral, and for a moment the hum changed tone. It became higher, then faded again. Arun pulled his hand back, surprised. Rian laughed nervously. "You woke the desert." Arun smiled faintly but said nothing. He felt a calm curiosity rather than fear. He wanted to understand what was hidden beneath their feet. As the day passed, they decided to stay at the oasis for the night. They set up their small tents and made a simple meal from dry bread, fruit, and water. When the sun went down, the temperature dropped and a cool breeze came through the palms. The sky turned deep blue and the stars appeared one by one, bright and countless. The group sat near the pool, talking quietly. Nomi shared stories from old desert legends. One story spoke of a golden world, that once touched the earth through secret gates. The gates had closed when people forgot how to listen to the stars. Lyra listened carefully, her eyes shining. Aaron looked again at the glowing stones and wondered if the old tale could be true. When the moon rose high, the air changed. The water in the pool began to shimmer with a faint golden light. The same humming sound returned, louder than before. It was not harsh or frightening. It was calm and deep, like the sound of a heartbeat beneath the sand. The palms swayed slightly and ripples moved across the pool. Everyone stood watching in silence. "It is like the desert is breathing," Lyra whispered. Aaron felt the ground vibrate under his feet. The sand near the stones moved as if stirred by invisible hands. Then, just as quickly as it began, everything went still again. The water became clear, the light faded, and the sound disappeared. Rian let out a long breath. "That was strange," he said softly. Nomi nodded. "I think the oasis is not just an oasis. Maybe it is built on something old," Arun agreed. "Tomorrow we will dig a little near the stones. Carefully, I want to see how deep they go." Lyra smiled. "If the desert hides something, it has waited long enough for us to find it." They returned to their tents, but sleep did not come easily. The night was calm, yet each of them felt a quiet pull, as if the ground itself was calling. The hum had stopped, but in their minds it still echoed like a memory. Aaron lay awake, looking at the stars through the thin fabric of his tent. He thought about the patterns, the sound, and the strange glow in the water. He had visited many ruins before, but none had felt like this. This place seemed alive, aware, almost welcoming. Before closing his eyes, he made a note in his small journal. He wrote, "Mira's well may not be natural. The stones are older than the desert. Something is below, something that wants to be found." Far away across the sand, a soft wind began to move again. It carried fine dust into the night air, circling above the oasis in slow spirals. The palms swayed, and for a moment the golden light flickered once more beneath the pool's surface. Then the desert returned to silence. In the quiet of that deep night, it felt as if the earth was dreaming, waiting for morning, waiting for the moment when the first touch of sunlight would wake whatever slept beneath Mira's well. Morning light spread slowly across the desert. The golden sand shone like a sea of glass, and the palm trees near Mira's well cast long shadows on the ground. The air was cool at first, but the heat would rise again soon. Aaron woke before the others and stepped out of his tent. He looked at the calm water of the oasis and the 3 large stones near its edge. The symbols still glowed faintly under the sunlight, as if they had not rested all night. He knelt beside the nearest stone and brushed the sand gently with his hand. The lines seemed to shift their shine when touched by the light. Aaron could not understand how they were made. They did not look painted or carved. It was as if the light was part of the stone itself. He felt the same hum that had filled the air the night before, but much softer now, like the echo of a memory. Soon Lyra stepped out of her tent carrying her notebook. She smiled when she saw Arun already studying the stones. "You did not sleep much," she said kindly. Aaron smiled back. "I could not stop thinking about what we saw. It felt like the desert was speaking in its own language." Lyra nodded. "Maybe it wants to tell us a story." By the time Nomi and Rian woke, the sun was rising higher. They shared a quick breakfast, then gathered their tools. Aaron wanted to see if the stones were part of something larger below the surface. They began to dig carefully near the edge of the largest stone, moving the sand slowly with brushes and wooden sticks. The sand was light and easy to move, almost as if it had been placed there on purpose to cover something. As the hours passed, they uncovered more stone beneath the sand. The same patterns continued downward, smooth and shining. Lyra noticed a thin line running between 2 stones. It looked different, like a seam. She called Aaron to see it. "This looks like a boundary," she said. "Maybe there is a hollow space under it." Aaron touched the seam. It was cool, though the sun was hot above them. He placed his ear near it and listened. The faint humming sound was clearer there, like a slow rhythm from deep below. "There is something beneath," he said. "Something large." Ryan brought a small metal rod and tapped the stone gently. It gave a hollow sound, not solid like rock. Nomi wrote notes in her book while Arun and Lyra worked to clear more sand around the edge. After some time, they uncovered a smooth, round plate made of shining metal, hidden beneath the stones. The plate was wide, with soft lines running across it, forming a circular pattern that met at a small center point. "This is not natural," Arun said quietly. "It was built." Lyra brushed away the last of the sand and looked at the plate closely. "It feels old," she said. "But it looks new. It has no rust, no cracks. How can that be?" No one had an answer. The metal reflected the sunlight like water. Aaron reached out and touched the center point. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a soft light spread from the center, moving along the lines like flowing gold. The group stepped back in surprise. The lines glowed brighter, forming shapes that looked like the same spiral symbols from the stones above. The humming sound grew stronger. The air around them felt cool, though the desert was hot. The light gathered into a small circle in the center, and a quiet vibration moved through the ground. Aaron looked at the others. "It is waking up," he said calmly. Nomi looked both amazed and cautious. "Should we stop?" Aaron shook his head. "We have already begun. Let us see what it wants to show us." The circular plate began to move. It slid downward smoothly, revealing a dark space beneath. A cool wind rose from the opening, carrying a faint scent of freshness like water after rain. Inside, a gentle golden glow shimmered, inviting but not blinding. Lyra's eyes widened with wonder. "It is a passage," she said. Aaron nodded. "It leads somewhere below the oasis." They prepared their lamps and ropes, though the glow below was bright enough to see. One by one, they descended carefully through the opening. The steps were smooth, made of the same shining material as the plate. The air inside was cool and calm, not dry like the desert. The walls gave off their own soft light, showing strange symbols that flowed like rivers of gold. As they walked down, Nomi ran her hand over the wall. "These lines move," she said quietly. "When I touch them, they change direction." Ryan looked around with wide eyes. "It is like the whole place is alive." Lyra stopped to study a group of markings that looked like people standing under stars. "Maybe this is a record," she said. "A story of those who built this place," Aaron nodded. "It could be. Maybe we are the first to see it after many ages." The passageway turned gently and opened into a wide tunnel that stretched farther than their lamps could reach. The walls curved softly and the floor shone like polished stone. The air carried a faint hum that matched the rhythm they had heard above. It was not unpleasant. It felt warm and full of quiet life. After walking for some time, they reached a large chamber. The ceiling arched high above them, covered with designs that looked like suns and stars. The center of the floor was marked by a wide circular symbol that pulsed with light, slow and calm. Around the edges of the room stood tall pillars with smooth surfaces that reflected their images like mirrors. Lyra walked up to one of the pillars. When she moved, the reflection in the surface did not follow her exactly. It seemed to move on its own, shifting slightly behind her. She stepped back in surprise. "Aaron, these reflections move differently," she said. Aaron came closer and watched. The reflection in the pillar was not of Lyra, but of a person wearing bright golden clothing and holding a shining sphere in their hand. The figure looked peaceful and kind. "It is showing someone else," Aaron said softly. "Maybe the builders." As they looked around, the reflections in each pillar began to change. The mirrors showed scenes of bright cities, floating bridges, and people walking through fields of golden grass. The light in the room grew stronger and the air filled with gentle sound like distant music. Nomi stood still, unable to speak. "It is a memory," she whispered. "This place is remembering something beautiful." Ryan nodded slowly. "The desert has been hiding a world under its skin." Aaron felt a deep calm in his heart. He knew they had found something more than ruins. This was a message from another time. At the far end of the hall, they saw a smaller doorway glowing with pale light. Without speaking, they moved toward it. The doorway opened into another passage that sloped downward, leading deeper into the earth. The walls there were covered with moving golden lines that formed shapes of stars and waves. The air grew cooler, and the sound changed again. It was still soft but filled with a slow rhythm that felt almost like breathing. When they reached the bottom, the passage opened into another chamber. In the center of this new space stood a raised platform with a smooth stone resting upon it. The stone was not ordinary. It was bright and clear like crystal, and inside it swirled golden light that moved like mist in sunlight. Lyra approached it slowly. "It feels alive," she said quietly. Aaron walked beside her. "Maybe it is what the desert has been protecting." Nomi took a small reading device from her pack. It showed a steady pulse, as if measuring the rhythm of a living thing. "It is giving energy," she said. "But it is not mechanical. It feels natural, like a heartbeat." They all stood around the glowing crystal in silence. The golden light moved inside it, forming shapes that looked like stars and waves. For a moment, the crystal shone brighter and a warm voice filled the room. It was not a voice made of sound, but of feeling, calm and full of kindness. Each of them heard it inside their mind. "Children of the surface," the voice said, "you have found what was kept for you. The desert has guarded our memory. Do not be afraid. You are welcome." Aaron looked at the others, his eyes wide but calm. He felt no fear, only peace. "We are not here to harm," he said softly. "We came to learn." The light inside the crystal pulsed gently as if in answer. The golden mist inside it swirled faster and the patterns on the walls brightened. The voice spoke again. "Then listen. What you see here is the tomb of the makers. It holds the story of the world that once lived among the stars." The group stood still, filled with wonder. The humming sound grew softer, wrapping them in warmth. Aaron felt that the desert had not been silent for thousands of years. It had only been waiting for someone to listen. The golden light around the group grew brighter, filling the chamber with soft warmth. Aaron stood close to the glowing crystal at the center of the platform. Lyra, Nomi, and Rian watched in quiet amazement. The air was still and cool, carrying a gentle hum that seemed to move through their hearts. Aaron slowly placed his hand on the platform near the crystal. The surface felt smooth and warm like sunlight caught in stone. The light responded to his touch and formed clear shapes inside the crystal. Golden lines twisted and joined, forming pictures that floated in the air above the platform. At first, the pictures showed patterns that looked like stars. Then they changed to scenes of great cities shining like gold, with towers that reached high above rivers of light. Roads of crystal connected floating gardens, and people in long, bright robes moved peacefully through them. Their faces looked human but calm, their eyes full of kindness. A voice filled the air again, soft but clear. "This is the world we built long ago," it said. "We called it the Golden Home. It stood between the stars, bright with peace and learning. We shared knowledge with all who sought it. We believed that light could live in every heart." The voice was neither male nor female. It carried warmth that made the group feel safe. Lyra whispered, "These people were human." The voice answered, "Yes. Your kind once walked among us. You came from far lands, strong with curiosity and hope. You learned with us, built with us, and helped us reach the stars. But time changed and the stars grew silent. When the last gates closed, the Golden Home fell asleep. We built tombs to hold our memory, waiting for your return." The light shifted again. Now the pictures showed deserts, mountains, and oceans. Then they showed small bright ships traveling through the sky. Aaron watched as one ship landed in a wide desert that looked like the one above them. The picture zoomed closer until they could see the same oasis they had found. The palm trees looked new and the sand was smooth. "This was one of the resting places," said the voice. "We left behind seeds of our memory, hidden in the heart of the earth. Each seed would wait until the touch of human hands awakened it again." Nomi looked at Arun with wide eyes. "It means this tomb has been waiting for us," she said softly. Aaron nodded. "Waiting for humanity to find its own story." Ryan stepped closer to one of the walls. The golden lines there were moving faster, forming circles and paths. "It feels like the place is alive again," he said. "It knows we are here." The air shimmered gently. The crystal brightened and released more golden light that spread across the floor. The lines on the ground began to move outward, forming symbols that linked together like rivers of light. When they joined, the floor beneath them changed. The surface turned clear like glass, and below it they could see another hall stretching far beneath. It was filled with golden pillars, each one glowing softly. Between them were wide paths leading toward a center point. It looked endless, like a city sleeping under the ground. Lyra gasped quietly. "It is a world below the world." The voice spoke again. "This is the heart of the tomb. It is a library made of light. It holds all that we knew. The wisdom of the Golden Home rests here, safe and quiet, waiting for minds that still believe in peace." Aaron felt small in that moment, standing above such wonder. "Why did you hide it?" he asked. "Because the stars were fading," said the voice. "The worlds we built began to grow silent. We saw darkness coming, not of war or pain, but of forgetfulness. People stopped looking up. So we placed our memory where time could not reach it. We believed that one day your kind would return and remember what was lost." The light dimmed for a moment, then began to form a soft bridge leading downward. It looked solid, glowing with golden mist. The voice said, "If you wish to see, step forward. The path will hold you." Aaron looked at his friends. "We came here to learn, and now the door is open. We should see what lies below." Lyra nodded with quiet excitement. "Let us go." They walked carefully across the glowing bridge. The air around them felt calm and full of quiet energy. The bridge led them into a wide lower hall with shining pillars and smooth walls covered in golden lines. It looked endless, but it felt peaceful, as if time did not pass here. Between the pillars stood tall frames filled with floating symbols. They moved slowly in the air, forming shapes that looked like living writing. Nomi reached out to touch one, but the symbol moved gently away as if alive. "They are records," said the voice. "Each one holds a memory. You can see them, but they will not open unless your heart seeks truth." Aaron raised his hand and looked at one of the symbols. It shone brighter, and an image appeared in front of him. He saw a group of people standing under a golden sky, working together to build towers and gardens. They used no machines, only their hands and calm minds. The air around them moved with light that followed their will. Aaron lowered his hand, feeling humbled. "They built everything through thought," he said softly. "Their minds shaped the world." "Yes," the voice answered. "They learned harmony with the elements. The sky gave them power, the earth gave them strength, and peace gave them light. You have the same gift within you, though it sleeps now. When you remember how to listen, it will awaken again." Lyra stood before another frame, watching images of oceans filled with glowing fish and floating cities above the water. "It is beautiful," she whispered. "They lived without harm, only creation. That was our path," said the voice. "To create instead of destroy. To build rather than take. We believed that every spark of life was part of the same light." The golden light around them pulsed slowly, like a calm breath. The hum that filled the air matched the rhythm of their hearts. After some time, the group reached the end of the hall. There they found a wide door made of the same shining metal as the plate they had opened above. At its center was a large circular mark. The same spiral symbol from the stones at the Oasis was carved into it. Aaron placed his hand on the mark. The spiral began to turn slowly, and the door opened with a smooth sound. Behind it was another chamber, smaller but brighter. The light here was pure gold, warm and gentle. In the middle stood a tall crystal pillar with streams of light flowing upward inside it. "This is the core," said the voice. "It is the memory of the golden home itself. All that we were is held here." The group gathered around the pillar. The light moved inside it like living water. Aaron could see shapes of cities, stars, and people within. The images changed each second, telling a silent story that never ended. Nomi stepped forward carefully. "Is it safe to touch?" she asked. "Yes," said the voice. "It will not harm you. It will only show what your heart wishes to see." Aaron reached out first. The moment his fingers touched the pillar, a calm warmth spread through him. His mind filled with visions of faraway worlds, bright skies, and people working together in peace. He felt their kindness, their patience, and their endless search for learning. He saw the stars they had traveled to and the songs they had sung under suns of many colors. When he stepped back, his eyes were wet, but his heart was light. "They were like us," he said softly. "Only wiser." Lyra touched the pillar next. She saw gardens floating in the air, children playing among flowers that shone like fireflies, and teachers speaking to students under trees made of light. She smiled as she watched. "They lived without fear," she said. "They trusted each other completely." The voice spoke again. That trust made them strong. It was their greatest treasure. When the stars dimmed, they did not cry or fight. They built tombs like this one, to give their light to those who would come after. They believed that humanity would one day find it again. Ryan stood silent, looking at the crystal. "We almost forgot who we were," he said slowly. "But maybe we can remember now." Aaron turned to his friends. "This place is not a tomb of death. It is a house of hope." The voice replied softly, "Yes, you have named it well. Hope never dies. It only waits for the right heart to wake it." The golden light filled the room brighter than ever. The humming grew warm, wrapping them in peace. The walls shimmered like sunlight on calm water. When the glow faded a little, the voice said, "You have seen the heart. Now you must choose. Take what you have learned and carry it to the surface. The world above is waiting for light again." Aaron bowed his head. "We will not forget," he said with steady calm. "We will share what you showed us." The voice grew softer like a wind fading at sunset. "Then go, children of the surface. The desert will guide you back." The golden lines on the floor began to form a path leading upward. The light flickered gently, showing them the way. The group looked around one last time. The hall, the pillars, and the crystal glowed softly as if smiling. They turned toward the passage. Their hearts were full of peace, and each step they took felt lighter than air. The tomb of the golden world had opened its heart, and humanity had listened. The group walked slowly along the glowing path that led upward from the golden hall. The air was cool and gentle, filled with a quiet hum that seemed to follow their steps. Aaron led the way, holding the small lamp they carried, though the golden light along the path was brighter than any lamp could shine. Lyra, Nomi, and Rian followed, their eyes wide with wonder. Every step felt as if they were walking not through stone but through a living memory. The walls along the path shimmered with moving lines. They formed shapes that looked like rivers, stars, and mountains. Sometimes they seemed to form people walking, building, and learning. Nomi reached out to touch one of the moving shapes. It felt soft, almost like silk, and it moved gently under her fingers. She pulled her hand back and looked at Arun. "It feels alive," she said quietly. "It is like the memories are breathing." Aaron nodded. "The tomb does not just hold history. It holds life itself, frozen in time, waiting to be remembered." Lyra pointed to a small marking on the wall. It looked like a circle with tiny lines branching outward. "I think these are like instructions," she said. "They are showing us how the builders used light and energy to create their world." The voice that had guided them before spoke again. It was calm, warm, and steady. "You have seen the Golden Hall and the core. You have walked through our memory. Now it is time to receive the gift we kept for you. It is a gift of knowledge, not of gold or treasure. It is the light of understanding, the seed of creation, and the memory of peace." Arun and his friends stopped and listened. The words filled their hearts, not their ears. The voice continued. "Long ago, your kind came from the stars and built worlds of learning, friendship, and harmony. You traveled with curiosity, worked with care, and sought knowledge with open hearts. But time changed and many forgot. You have returned now, guided by your own desire to understand. We will give you a gift that will help you remember the way." At the center of a small chamber, a stone pedestal rose from the floor. On it rested a small crystal about the size of a human hand. Light swirled gently inside, moving in golden patterns that reminded Aaron of the core. The voice said, "This is a key. It carries the knowledge of the golden world. It will open doors of understanding and guide you to restore what was once forgotten. Use it with care, for it only responds to hearts that seek good and truth." Aaron stepped forward carefully and lifted the crystal from the pedestal. As his fingers touched it, a warm feeling spread from his hand through his arm and into his chest. The golden patterns inside the crystal moved like streams of light, forming pictures of cities, gardens, and learning halls. A soft hum filled the chamber, matching the rhythm of their hearts. Lyra stepped closer. "Can I see it?" she asked. Aaron held it out to her. The moment her fingers brushed the surface, the crystal glowed brighter. Images appeared before her eyes. Fields filled with people planting trees, children learning under open skies, rivers that sparkled with light, and schools where all knowledge was shared freely. "It is a map of their wisdom," Lyra whispered. "It shows how they built harmony in every part of life." Ryan took a careful step forward. "It is more than wisdom," he said. "It is a way of seeing the world. They understood how every action affects everything else. It is beautiful." The voice spoke again, warm and calm. "This gift is not a tool for power. It is a guide for those who seek to build, create, and learn. You will carry it back to the surface. Share it wisely. Let it awaken your hearts and those of others. With this, the golden world may live again in the hearts of humanity." Aaron held the crystal carefully. "We will not misuse it," he said firmly. "We will protect it and learn from it." Nomi added softly, "We will remember the trust you have given us." The light inside the crystal shifted, flowing in slow patterns. Shapes appeared, stars, rivers, mountains, gardens, and cities floating among them. The patterns showed people working together, listening to each other and creating things with care and patience. Each image glowed with calm and joy. Aaron looked at his friends. "This is more than a gift. It is a promise. The golden world is part of us, waiting to be remembered. We must honor it." The voice spoke one last time before fading. "The gift is yours. Carry it to the surface and let it grow. The desert will guide you back, and the world above will be ready to receive you. You have remembered, and in remembering, you create a new beginning." The golden light along the path returned, forming a soft trail leading upward. Arun placed the crystal carefully in his pack, making sure it would not fall. The group began to walk back along the path. Each step was filled with calm energy, and the hum of the tomb followed them gently. When they reached the chamber at the top of the path, they paused. Sunlight from the oasis above filtered through the entrance. The water in the pool shimmered faintly, reflecting golden light from beneath the earth. The desert felt alive, filled with quiet energy, as if the sand itself was happy to see them again. Aaron stepped onto the warm sand and felt the desert beneath his feet. "The tomb has given us a gift," he said softly. "Now it is our turn to give something back. We can help the world remember what was lost." Lyra knelt beside the water, letting her hand touch the surface. The golden shimmer reflected back at her. "It is like the oasis itself is part of the gift," she said. "The desert kept it safe until we came." Ryan smiled, looking at the horizon. "We have seen the memory of the golden world. Now we have the chance to carry it forward." Nomi carefully set down her notes and looked at the oasis. "It is more than stories or images. It is a way of life. We can learn from it and share it with everyone." The desert wind moved gently, lifting fine sand into the air. The palms of Mira's well swayed, and the water reflected the sunlight with a soft golden hue. Aaron looked at the sky, feeling the calm energy from below rise with them. He realized that the tomb had not only protected the memory of the golden world, but had also prepared them to carry it into the world above. "We need to understand it fully," Aaron said. "The crystal will guide us. We must listen carefully," Lyra nodded. "We should study it every day until we know its meaning." "It is like a teacher waiting for us," Rian grinned. "I never thought a desert could hold so much life and wisdom." "It is amazing," Nomi laughed quietly. "And we are the ones who get to bring it back. It is a great responsibility, but also a gift beyond measure." They spent the rest of the day by the oasis, resting and organizing their supplies. Arun held the crystal carefully, feeling the warmth and the soft glow it emitted. Every so often, the light inside shifted, forming shapes that hinted at what they had not yet seen. They realized that their journey was only beginning. Evening came and the sky turned shades of orange and pink. The oasis glowed softly in the sunset. The group sat together, sharing their thoughts. The desert seemed calm, holding its secrets gently. They understood that the tomb had trusted them. It had waited for those who would not take its gift lightly. As night fell, the stars appeared one by one. Aaron looked at them, remembering the stories from the Golden Hall. The stars that had once guided the people of the Golden World were still shining. They seemed to whisper encouragement, reminding him that learning and creation were paths worth following. The group made a small fire near the oasis and sat close to it. They spoke quietly about what they had seen, about the cities of light, the gardens, and the people who had built the Golden World. Each story they remembered felt alive, like they were part of the memory themselves. Lyra looked at the crystal resting beside Aaron. "It is amazing to think that all this knowledge has been waiting for us," she said. "We are part of its story now." "Yes," Aaron replied. "And it is part of ours. We will carry it forward and help the world above remember what it can be." Nomi smiled. "The gift is not just for us. It is for everyone. We have a chance to change how people see the world." Rian looked at the desert horizon, feeling calm and inspired. And it all began with an oasis in the middle of the sand. Who would have thought? Aaron nodded. "The desert keeps many secrets. We were lucky to find this one. Now we have to protect it and learn from it. The gift of the makers is more than light and knowledge. It is a guide for hearts that are ready to build a better world." The wind moved gently over the sand, lifting fine grains like tiny golden sparks. The palms swayed above the water, reflecting the soft glow of the crystal below. The hum of the tomb seemed to echo in their minds, a quiet reminder that they were part of something greater than themselves. As they lay down for the night, each of them felt a new sense of purpose. The desert had given them more than a secret. It had given them a mission, and with the gift of the makers, they were ready to carry its light back to the surface and beyond. The first light of dawn stretched across the desert, soft and gentle. The sky was painted with shades of pink and gold, and the sand glowed faintly under the sun. Aaron, Lyra, Nomi, and Rian stepped carefully out of the tomb beneath Mira's well. The cool morning air brushed their faces, carrying a quiet sense of promise. The oasis looked the same as it had the day before, yet somehow it seemed fuller, brighter, and alive in a way they had not noticed before. Aaron held the crystal carefully in his hands. Its golden glow was gentle in the morning light. Even above ground it pulsed softly as if breathing with life. Lyra knelt near the water, dipping her fingers into the pool. The water reflected the crystal's light and golden ripples spread across its surface. She smiled, feeling a calm energy moving through her. The desert has not only protected the tomb, she said quietly, it has helped us carry its gift back. Nomi nodded. It feels like the oasis itself is part of the memory. It is alive just like the golden world. Ryan looked at the horizon, stretching far and empty yet full of potential. We have a responsibility now. The tomb gave us knowledge, and the desert gave us time to understand it. It is our turn to share it. Aaron placed the crystal on a flat stone near the edge of the water. The golden light spread from it, touching the sand and palm trees around them. The water shimmered in response, and a soft warmth rose through the oasis. It was quiet but full of life. Every grain of sand seemed to hum gently, carrying the memory of what lay beneath. The voice of the makers spoke one final time, soft and gentle in their minds. You have remembered, and by remembering you begin anew. The light of the golden world is now with you. Carry it wisely. Let it awaken the hearts of your people. Let it grow and bloom again, just as it did once among the stars. Aaron turned to his friends. We must think carefully about how to use this. Knowledge and light are powerful, but they are only useful if we use them with care and kindness. Lyra nodded. We can teach others what we have learned. Not all at once, but slowly. People need to feel the beauty of creation before they can truly understand it. Nomi smiled. And we can start here in the oasis. It will be a place for learning and growth, just like the tomb was. Ryan looked at the golden light spreading from the crystal. It feels like hope itself is returning. The desert was quiet, but now it seems to celebrate with us. For hours, the group explored the area around Mira's well, letting the light from the crystal reach every corner of the oasis. Plants that had grown slowly for years seemed to awaken. Green shoots rose where the sand had been bare. Tiny flowers bloomed near the edges of the water. The oasis was changing, slowly but surely filling with life and energy. Aaron noticed the sand near the largest stones. The same symbols from the tomb shimmered faintly on the surface. He touched one of the lines and felt the same warmth he had felt below ground. It is responding to the crystal, he said. The desert is helping us bring the tomb's memory to the surface. Lyra knelt beside him. It is teaching us patience, she said. Everything moves slowly, but it moves with purpose. The golden world was never rushed, and neither will its memory be. As the sun climbed higher, travelers began to appear at the oasis. They had come to rest during their journey across the desert. When they saw the soft golden glow over the water and the plants that seemed to grow with life, they stopped in awe. Arun and his friends greeted them and shared simple stories about the oasis and the tomb beneath it. Nomi spoke carefully. There is a place beneath the oasis where knowledge of the golden world is kept. It is a gift for anyone who wishes to learn, a reminder of what humanity can be when it works together. People listened quietly. Some knelt by the water, touching the glowing ripples. Others watched as small flowers opened for the first time. The light from the crystal reached them gently, filling them with calm inspiration and curiosity. By midday, the oasis had become more than just a resting place. It was a place where people paused, watched, and reflected. The crystal's golden light spread slowly across the sand, the water, and the plants. Birds that had avoided the desert before returned, circling above and singing in soft tones. Even the wind seemed to move more gently, carrying the scent of water and blooming flowers across the dunes. Arun watched the people in the oasis, feeling the weight of responsibility and the warmth of purpose. The gift is not just in the tomb or in the crystal, he said. It is in how we choose to carry it, and how we teach others to remember and create. Lyra agreed. We can grow it slowly like the plants in this oasis. Every person who understands adds to the light. Ryan added, It feels like we are part of something bigger, something the desert has been waiting for all along. Nomi looked at the crystal resting on the stone. We have seen what the golden world was. Now we can help people understand what it can be again. The golden light of the crystal continued to glow softly as the group worked together to make small gardens around the oasis. They planted seeds, cleared sand, and guided water into small channels. Each action felt meaningful, connected to the memory of the tomb and the wisdom of the makers. With every careful movement, the oasis seemed to shine brighter, as if approving their efforts. By evening, the oasis had changed noticeably. Small green hills rose where there had been sand. Flowers and shrubs created patterns that seemed familiar from the images in the tomb. The water reflected the sky and the golden light of the crystal. Birds and small animals had returned, adding life to the once quiet desert spot. Aaron and his friends sat together by the water, watching the sunset paint the sky in colors of gold, pink, and orange. The hum of the crystal mingled with the natural sounds of the desert. The oasis felt alive, balanced, and full of promise. "This is only the beginning," Aaron said softly. "We have a gift to protect and a lesson to share, but it is a beginning we can build upon every day." Lyra nodded. "The tomb taught us patience, and the oasis is teaching us hope. We can help people remember both," Rian added with a smile. "And we can show that the desert is not empty. It can hold life, wisdom, and beauty waiting for those who see it." Nomi looked at the golden light of the crystal. "We carry the Maker's memory, and now it lives in us and in this place. The world above will begin to change if we share it carefully." As night fell, the stars appeared above the desert, countless and bright. Aaron looked at them, remembering the images from the tomb. The cities among stars, the floating gardens, and the people who had lived in harmony. It felt as if the stars themselves were watching, approving and encouraging the steps they were taking. The golden light from the crystal continued to glow softly, casting reflections across the water and sand. The oasis now seemed like a small piece of the golden world, a place where memory, life, and hope could grow together. Aaron stood and spoke to his friends, his voice calm and confident. "We will protect this gift. We will teach others what we have learned." The tomb was not only a memory of the past, it is a promise for the future, Lyra smiled. "And every person who visits the oasis will carry a piece of that promise with them. The light will spread beyond the desert," Rian added. "The desert has been quiet for a long time, but now it speaks in a new way. It speaks through us and through the oasis," Nomi nodded. "The Makers trusted us to carry their memory. We will not forget. We will grow it, just as the oasis grows under the sun." That night, the group lay near the water, feeling calm and fulfilled. The desert was quiet, but it was alive with a soft hum from the crystal, the water, and the sand. Every palm leaf swayed gently under the starlight, reflecting the glow of the crystal. The oasis had become a place of life, learning, and hope, just as the tomb had intended. The four friends understood that their journey was not only about discovery, but about guidance. They were not the end of the story. They were the beginning of a new chapter for humanity. The golden world, once hidden beneath the desert, now had a chance to live again, quietly and patiently, in the hearts of those who were ready to learn, create, and share. And so beneath the stars and the calm desert sky, the oasis shone softly, a beacon of light and memory. The tomb beneath the sand had given humanity a gift, and the world above was ready to remember.